Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. Things are still quite exciting. So, let's go over what's going on with Bitcoin, how it's ready for the next leg up, and more importantly, are we starting altcoin season? And there are two that are definitely leading the way. So let's talk about everything. Oh, and some macro news today, of course. CPI inflation. Let's talk about everything. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are starting out the day 117,600, a little bit less than yesterday. But I'll explain why we went down. It's pretty natural, and it was actually pretty predictable. I'll explain exactly what happened, but this little reset is actually very good. Very good indeed. But before I get to that, let's see. The US market is, NASDAQ is very in the green right now. Nvidia is leading the way, Tesla leading the way, Coinbase and MicroStrategy taking a little breather from yesterday, although they could certainly turn in green. Now everything's turning green, and the reason being is because of this. We got a CPI report. Okay, so I talked about this last night. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lower reading. We just got expectations, meaning the headline inflation went up 0.3%. I thought it was going to be 0.2. It was 0.3. And then core inflation went up 0.2. So this is in line with estimates. So it wasn't good or bad. It does show two things, though. That the tariffs are contributing slightly, but not nearly as bad as people once thought. Okay. Of course, there are more tariffs coming after August 1st, but so far, the tick up inflation has been minimal. We're still in the 2 percentile, which is good. And there's a whole bunch of money coming in because of it. So overall, I think a lot of people on Wall Street were, they were waiting for this, and now things have turned green, which is really good. But there are still a lot of people that want Powell out, and now it's being reported that Janet Yellen may be the next Fed chair. I'm not so sure this is a good move. I don't think anyone appreciated her as the Treasury Secretary under the last regime. And before that, she was a Fed chair. So if she comes back, she'll be the first person in history to be the Fed chair twice. But you know why she may be selected is because Trump does not want another Powell, does not want someone else that'll go against him. He wants someone to be a yes man and someone that will just cut rates whenever Trump says so. So maybe that's Janet Yellen. I don't know. But, still a lot of people, including Trump, wants Powell out, wants the rate cut by 3%. Yes, down to 1.5%. All right, so we'll see. In the meantime, Coinbase and others are blowing up. Coinbase is now a $100 billion project. Even though they don't have their own coin, they are at $100 billion and they continue to do well. And that's because, same thing with Robinhood, same thing with Circle's blowing up, same thing with MicroStrategy. Anything related to crypto is blowing up right now. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the landscape is changing for the better. And this week, we still have 3 major bills. The biggest one, I think, is the Genius Bill that will be voted upon in the House. So I still haven't heard anything in terms of a date, the exact date. But it's supposed to be this week. So maybe today, maybe tomorrow, This could be absolutely huge. And Circle does have a big role with stable coins. They do hold a small percentage of Circle, and they make a whole bunch of money from USDC too. So this could be very good for them. And overall, these are just good for crypto. Okay, that's why things are very exciting. That's why Wall Street keeps on picking up the stocks of these major exchanges, and they keep loading up on Bitcoin. They certainly are. U.S. interest in Bitcoin or buying Bitcoin spiked 76% in 1 month. This is according to Google Trends. So that means retail's finally coming back. Long-term holders, of course, never left, but just general people, okay, haven't really been searching for Bitcoin. They're starting to come back, but still nowhere near all-time high, and that's unfortunate. We need more people to come into the space because we know that those institutions and Wall Street traders and funds, they have been loading up. I've been talking about billions upon billions upon billions every single week. Last week was one of the best, 2.7 billion inflow. Yesterday we kicked off with 300 million. Even though some of the funds had outflows, not BlackRock. BlackRock pulled in almost 400 million. They are not going to stop. Neither is Strategy. Neither is MetaPlanet. I mean, basically, just yesterday, it was announced 6,000 Bitcoin was purchased. This is every single week. This is on top of the ETFs. This is not the total number. This is separate. And then every single day, you have more companies buying Bitcoin. Here's one, Hilbert Group purchased 233 Bitcoin. I mean, again, the momentum is not stopping. The buying will commence no matter what. That's why everyone should be DCAing, should be hodling and DCAing. It's really that simple. And these days, it's easier than ever to DCA. You got Standard Chartered now that's opening Bitcoin and digital asset trading to institutions, and pretty soon to retail. JP Morgan did that recently, and many others are doing that. Not to say that buying from a bank is a good idea, but just saying there are so many out there that the ways to buy, just there's so much now than ever before. So there's really no excuses. Now, some of you guys, I don't think any of you guys are just really disappointed, but why do we fall to 117,000 and 118,000, right? Even though last week we were just at what, 110, 109, 110. So why did we fall down yesterday? Well, supposedly some huge OG whale decided to cash out $2 billion of Bitcoin after holding 14 years. Well, at some point, why not take some profits, right? This guy's been holding for 14 years, and he decided to move. And there's no guarantee that he's going to sell. Like, it's just that a lot of it was moved to Galaxy Digital. Maybe he wants to buy a whole bunch of miners. Maybe he wants to do some kind of Bitcoin-related business. We don't know. People are just speculating. He moved about $2 billion. Anyways, what is $2 billion when we eat up more than $2 billion per week now? Just with ETF inflows is more than $2 billion a week. So it's a large number, but it's definitely not going to really do anything. This headline is saying Bitcoin nosedive because of this news. I don't think so. I think the real reason, and I shared with you guys, I even covered this, is due to those pesky market makers. Yesterday, I showed you guys how, we have some longs on top that we can liquidate, but we also have, shorts on top. We also have a lot of longs on the bottom too that could be liquidated. And that's exactly what the market makers did, all right? Because of our tremendous move, things were a little overbought anyways, but there are a lot of people that get very greedy with their longs, and of course the market makers want to take advantage of that. So we broke through a lot of these levels going to the downside, and then we finally found support around 116, and then we bounce off of that. But this always tends to happen. The market makers, who are like the Binances of the world, they don't want everyone to be making money with their longs, right? Someone has to pay out. They have to cause some people to lose, and that's what they do. So now that we've reset, so to speak, cleared out a lot of longs, I bet it was probably over $1 billion in liquidation. I don't know the exact number, but it's probably around there. We're probably going to now start trending upwards back to our previous high of 123,000 and liquidate some of these longs right here at 123, 124, and head to 130 up here. There's really not that many huge levels, but it tends to happen all the time. That's why you got to be careful with your longs. If you get too greedy at the top, this is what happens, right? But I think that's the reason why. It's not because of some OG whale that moved 2 billion. It's just the excuse. This is the reason why. But the good thing is we have reset, so that means we are on our way up once again. And where are we heading to? Where are we heading to? Well, again, according to a lot of these charts, we're definitely breaking out. Whatever you look at, this trend that we've been in for like 7 years, there's a trend line that we broke. Here's one that, the trend line just going back to December earlier this year. We broke out of that. Here's an inverse head and shoulders pattern that we are following, showing the breakout. Same thing, a breakout. If you're looking at Bitcoin following the M2 money supply, there are so many. We're definitely in that next leg up. And again, everyone's projecting somewhere between 130 to 150,000. That is the next stop. We're on our way there. We're not too far off. We were at 123,000 just a day ago. So that's only, 7,000 from that point to 130, and only, 17,000 from 140. It doesn't even seem that crazy anymore, right? We are heading higher. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and nothing is going to stop this train. Nothing. All right. Now, outside of Bitcoin, what about altcoin season? Is it finally here? Well, Bitcoin dominance is going down. Bitcoin dominance have been coming down for a couple weeks now. Right, we got some major players, major movers that are doing very well. In fact, the entire crypto market cap has been going up. But you got, a few standouts for sure, right? A lot of people argue ETH is going to be very dominant once again because of stablecoins. Where does most stablecoins live on? ETH. Yeah, that's a good point. What about Ripple? Ripple has been coming up too. It almost, actually, no, I take that back. It did break $3 yesterday. And there's many things. They're still planning on issuing their RLUSD across Europe. They're going to choose Luxembourg to be the parent place for that. They're trying to get a bank charter in the US so that they can push RLUSD as well. They're getting this leveraged futures ETF and spot ETF soon. So, and that final lawsuit, the settlement for a lawsuit could be over soon. And then you got guys like Sui that's blowing up. One of the two projects I talked about, Sei and Sui. Sei is still blowing up, mostly because of its involvement in stablecoins, but it has made many partnerships like with Chainlink and others. It's been doing absolutely fantastic. Sui is also doing absolutely fantastic, getting back to $4 very, very quickly. So you got a lot of major movers right now let's see. Let's go to Bitcoin. Oops, I'm not gonna spell. Bitcoin Dominance. So look at this. Bitcoin Dominance overall has been going up and up and up and up and up since September when it hit 39%. And it has climbed all the way up to 66%, but it has come down. Let's see if this trend will continue. Last time I did this, it looked like that too, and then Bitcoin Dominance went up again. So it started coming down a couple weeks ago. Since July 1st, you could argue, will we see this continue to go down? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But a lot of alts are definitely doing very, very well right now. Very well indeed, making huge moves back up to their previous high. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Nvidia's having a crazy day. Coinbase turned green. That's very good. Robinhood looks like it wants to turn green, and MicroStrategy about to turn green. Tesla's green. Can't complain. All right, let's do some Q&A. Man, Say is really blowing up right now. Bitcoin coming back. Benito, George, I'm down 54% on MicroStrategy options that expire Friday. FOMO yesterday, 85. Hold, pray, or cut losses. If it's expiring this Friday, you're rolling a dice if you're trying to wait too long. I would say wait it out today, see if it can make a big move up, and then probably cut your losses. Because even if it hits that price, the strike price, by let's say Thursday or something, the time is going against you. So whatever you play with options, you got to set the time way in the futures so that you don't run into this problem. Like before, I used to run into a problem like that. Now when I play my futures, I'm like doing 6 months out or even longer, sometimes 8 or 9 months out. I don't have a ADA price prediction, man. None. However, they used to be at $3. So is there a chance they could get back to $3 and go beyond? Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. You know, every day it seems like the stocks open up in a red and then slowly turn into green. That's the narrative. I don't remember the last day where it's just like everything was super green. Seems like Wall Street is still is still very cautious, but overall they're still all secretly buying because they're FOMO. They can't help it. Benito, that's up to you, man. That's where you think MicroStrategy and others are. I don't like to play with MicroStrategy because Sailor, he does some stuff with MSTR and all the other stuff. So it tends to stall it out sometimes versus the peers. I only play with pretty much Coinbase and Robinhood options at this point. Ada's turning green. What? Son is asking, why is ETH pumping so much? It's not. It's just coming back to life. Above 3,000 is great, but there's a long ways to go. Long ways to go. Back in November, it was above 4,000, so that's another 1,000 point, and it has to go back to like 5,000 to be 2021 high. Can I do it with all the news around stablecoins and favorable regulations? It could do it, but from a technical standpoint, it's just very, very hard for them to compete with the newer L1s. Josh, no, I would not. I'd stick with someone like Sui or Solana. Alan, Matic is pretty much dead in the water right now. They have no traction. They moved to Pole. They're still holding at 2 point something billion market cap, but their TVL is dropping. All the dApps are moving away. I mean, there's just like no traction at all. Unfortunately, they were a darling of last cycle, but not this cycle. What about a Mitsubishi Mirage G4? What about it, Rob? Man, 911s cost so much. Even the regular Carreras, not the GTSs or anything, or the S or whatever, just a normal Carrera is over 6 figures. The good thing is, if you guys can afford it and you want to buy a nice car, if you get a 911, just don't pay overpriced. But if you get one, the good thing is it doesn't depreciate. Almost all of them are still being sold at near MSRP or above MSRP, even used. So the good thing about buying like a high-end car is they hold their value. So you can enjoy the car for a year, 2, 3 years. and still sell it at the same price. So that's the one good thing about higher end cars. You know, you may think, well, I'm not paying 120 for that. I'd rather pay 50 grand for my Grand Highland, Highlander, and then that 50K will turn into like 25K in 3 years. What do you think about selling SUI for XRP? I would not do that at this point. Luxo is about to make things happen, man. I haven't heard anyone bring up Luxo in years. I don't think they're about to make things happen. Maybe they are. Maybe not. Z06s they hold their value well, but not that well. If you can get a ZR1, it will hold its value. Even the older generation ZR1s are still over 6 figures. ZR1, you got to get a super limited one. So ZR1s will hold their value, but Z06s, they still depreciate. Rivian R1Ts might buy used. They're decent trucks. I don't see anything special with them. Overall, if you go buy an EV car, know that it's going to drop in price tremendously. Even if you buy used, do you think there's a bottom? There's no bottoms for EVs. That's why I got rid of my Model X, because it just depreciates so much every month. Like, there's no bottom to it. DL, render or near at these current prices? I like both. I think they're both great projects. Render moved to Solana in the AI DePIN space. 2 billion market cap. And near is his own L1. Me personally, I like render better. Nice. Hood turned green. Coinbase, MicroStrategy all turned green. Take money from XRP to say 70K. Senor. It's up to you, man. It's up to you. I mean, XRP just had a really good move a few days ago. It went up over double digits, right? So a lot of times money shifts from one project to another. I think they're both good holds. AU106, I'm up 10x on Bitcoin. That's awesome. That's awesome. And if you hold Bitcoin long enough, it'll do another 10x. Jedi Mind Gamer, appreciate that. What's going on with Circle? Circle is being traded like a meme stock. Yesterday was up like 9%. Today is down slightly, but it could continue to run. We'll see. How do you feel about taking a loan off BTC versus selling? I just don't like it. I don't want to risk Bitcoin at all. I know that's probably a trend where you could put down Bitcoin as collateral and borrow, but there's always a chance it could go down and you get margin called or liquidated, even though it's a very small chance, but still. I don't know. I don't know if I would risk it. And plus, you're still paying some sort of interest, so just not for me. Man, speaking of used cars, it's trending in the United States. Used cars went up. According to the latest CPI, used cars went up 2.8% year over year. It's good in a way. I don't know if it's good that much, but I mean, if you have a hot car, it's gonna be worth more now than it was a year ago. Can you see suing going over 50 billion market cap? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Long time you mentioned about sneakers. I don't really pay attention to it anymore. I buy whatever looks good, and that's it. Increases over the last 5 years. Used cars went up 34.9%. See, this is what happens if you don't hold hard assets like Bitcoin, right? Inflation robs you of your buying power. You need to hold on stuff that out appreciates inflation. Otherwise, if you were just holding on cash from 5 years ago, you'd have to pay 35% more for a used car. Home prices went up 51.7% in the last 5 years. Is that accurate, man? I don't think my home went up 51% in the last 5 years. Maybe it did. From the COVID era, maybe it did, actually. Now that I think about it. Pre-Rich says my house is over 100% since 2017. Congrats. Again, another reason why you need to hold assets. The rich, all the statistics about the rich getting richer and richer and richer is not through their salaries. It's not really through their income. It's really through their assets. Their assets continue to go upwards. That's why it seems like the rich just keeps on making more and more money. It's because of the assets they hold, the real estate they hold, or the gold they hold, or the stocks they hold, or the Bitcoin they hold. That's how they're generating the wealth. Coinbase going above 400. All right, guys, that is it. Overall, today's is shaping up to be another good day. Bitcoin's next leg up. We've already started. So, continue to be strong, my friends. HODL and DCA. That's the winning strategy. And I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Have a good one. Take care.